Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Father's Note with Lionel Nelson, promoting fathers through building men. As always, we're glad you just took the time out to stop by. We have a topic on today that we're going to be talking about is men don't talk, women don't listen. And this is basically talking about how let me say on the subject of learning how to communicate, either with your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife. We know and certainly understand that there's a lot of issues that takes place in a relationship, especially if there's a marriage. And one of the significant things that I know I've come to experience is that the lack of communication often leads to divorce. And what we want to share with you through this is things that we need to understand so that you don't allow, or shall I say that communication or lack of communication does not become an issue that will lead you to having divorce. There's enough, the divorce rate in the United States is, I believe it's about 30% of those that actually get married. 30%, and it may be higher. Don't hold me to that, but I believe it's somewhere around in that area. But nevertheless, we want to address this about the lack of communication. Again, as we stated, men don't talk, women don't listen. So, but we believe that before we can talk about how we communicate, we must understand, or I feel we need to identify why we communicate the way that we do. Now, one of the things that I certainly believe that can play a part of that, and I'm going to give a list of things, maybe about 7 things that really can affect how you talk with your significant others, how you communicate yourself with your significant others. Number 1, let's talk about culture. How about if you're Black, you was raised in a Black family or an African-American family? How about if you was a Caucasian, you were raised in a Caucasian family? Cuban, Puerto Rican, Jamaican, Haitian, Dominican, Italian, Spanish. Where you was raised up at, the type of family that you was raised up in, does affect how you communicate with one another. And don't, please, whatever you do, don't think that it's not a factor. How about family structure? You may have was raised in a 2-parent home or a single parent home. You may have was raised with your grandparents as a child, but you were raised by your grandparents. How about you were raised by an older sibling, or even you grew up in foster home or foster homes? These are issues or facts that does affect the way that you communicate, not even in relationship, but communicate period with others, especially when it comes down to conflict. Everybody handles conflict. Everybody communicates conflict on different perspectives, on different plateaus. And there's always a lot of times it's based on, most of the time, of what they was exposed to, how they were raised. How about interracial couples can be a factor in how you communicate. Whether or not you Black and white, you're in a Black and white interracial marriage. How about Asian and Hispanic, or Muslim and Russian? I don't even know if they would allow themselves, but you know what? Love is love, and you can find love in so many different places, of course, and with so many different people. But at the same time, though, my point is, though, how interracial relationships, what background you came from, can be a factor. I know of a couple, we personally know of a couple that the wife is Hispanic and the husband has a Haitian background. And at the beginning of their marriage, they were really going at each other. And because, again, understanding how each person communicate, because what may have been done in one family, or how the communication may be applied in another culture, it can affect them. So when you bring different cultures together, well, we don't do things like that, or we don't talk that way. How about gender role? That could play a factor in how you communicate, because you don't understand your roles. So you think that your husband is responsible for this, but yet still you expect them to automatically know that, or the husband is responsible for that, and you expect them to automatically know that, but because you don't take the time to communicate and to identify, then you don't do it. So that can be a factor. Let's talk about personal experiences. What if you was a victim of sexual abuse or physical abuse, or even a victim of incest, molestation, rape? You was a person who felt abandoned. All of these factors here can play a psychological experience on you, on how you communicate. What values, communicate your values, especially if you have constantly been abused. You're not going to want to talk up. You're not going to want to say anything. But nevertheless, these things can affect how we communicate, even our emotional state of mind, whether or not we struggle with anger, whether or not we struggle with self-control, or we're a timid person, or we're a fearful person. These things, when it comes down to communicating with your spouse, with your girlfriend, with your boyfriend, one of the things that I would really encourage you to do is to really understand the background of the person in which that you're looking to form a long-lasting relationship with. Do not go by the fact or expect just the fact that, you're saying that I love her, I love him, and that's going to fix your communication problem. No, it doesn't. It just means that you're two individuals who are attracted to each other. And you got to be careful of infatuation too. Yeah, you can have a strong infatuation for someone, but it doesn't mean that you actually love them. But of course, that's another topic. But I just want to bring up those 7 points to you as far as what you need to look at when you're talking about, let's say you are having a conflict with communicating with your significant other. It's a possibility that their style of communicating to you, or whether or not they talk or don't talk, can be an issue. And of course, you're just looking at right there what's in. You got blinders on and you're looking at right what's in front of you and thinking it or expecting it to know, or what you're thinking or what you're saying. They may be, let me tell you, listen, look, I'm gonna tell you, me for one, I'm a person, my voice is very loud, very strong. And a lot of times when I talk, I'm talking loud, so somebody might think or get the impression that I'm yelling, when actually that's just my normal talking volume. Now, of course, over time, when I found that some people felt a little offensive to it, okay, well, let me tone it down. Let me bring my volume down, because, okay, I'm from a Black family, and of course, I'm sure you see that. But I'm from a Black family, and that's how we communicate. But then at the same time, though, is, again, not to go into details, but it was what I was exposed to. So yes, I have this built-in amplification here, whereas that when I talk, I do talk loud. Well, I used to, but I've learned how to bring it down, not talk as aggressive as I have in the past, especially growing up. So we just want to share those few points with you. So with the next video we're going to ask that you please look into it. We're going to be talking about teaching how to teach your children how to communicate, teaching your children on communication. And that's very, very vitally important, for the very simple reason, how you communicate was how you was raised up. It was what you was exposed to as a child. And I'm a strong believer of learned behavior. So these things are very strong factors. But check that out in the next video. And while you're here, if you like what I've said, if you like the comments, or if you care to leave a comment, please do in our comment section. And while you're down there, please please subscribe if you have not subscribed. Until the next video, thank you again for visiting the Father's Note, promoting fathers through building men. Thank you.